Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. If you want your local municipality to change a drone-related bylaw, it's going to take some work. In this video, I'll provide you a roadmap that will help you methodically approach the challenge and get it done. The Drone Pilot Association of Canada, or DPAC, has done a lot of work to address unreasonable municipal drone bylaws across Canada. We first did a research scan of the top 100 municipalities to find out what the typical bylaws actually are. These are now available in the Drone Pilot Canada app. It turns out there's almost an exact 50-50 split. Half the municipalities have no drone-related restrictions, which is great, but the other half require a permit in order to fly from a city park, with a considerable number of variations in how that restriction is worded. In this video, I'll walk you through a 3-phase plan for getting a bylaw changed. Now, I don't expect you to follow this plan to the letter. You'll need to adjust it to meet the needs for your municipality. And this will vary depending upon the local procedures and the openness of your council. And of course, your own style. So with that in mind, let's jump in. I see the 3 phases as plan, act, and follow up. Each of these phases in turn comprise 3 steps. In the planning phase, the 3 steps to consider are confirming the current drone-related bylaw or bylaws, then preparing what I call your pitch, then identifying the key stakeholders. So your first step should be to confirm the current drone-related bylaws. And if you live in one of the largest 100 municipalities in Canada, the Drone Pilot Canada app will give you a leg up by offering a link to the bylaws that we found. But you still need to check, and the best way is by going to the municipal website. Almost all towns and cities have one, and they're typically in the form of the city name .ca. For example, Burnaby.ca. Just Google it and you'll find the official town website. These websites always have a government or city hall kind of a page, and that's where you'll find the list of bylaws. If there's a search mechanism on the site, you can try looking for keywords like drone, airplane, aircraft, or RPAS. But my experience is these searches don't usually turn up anything. But don't get discouraged. Scan through the list of bylaws. There's usually a parks bylaw with prohibited activities like drones or model aircraft. And there may be bylaws referencing film permits as well. Now, film permits are usually for major commercial film projects that require street closures or taking over a particular location for filming. So these don't typically apply to recreational drone videography or even commercial work like, say, real estate shots. But it's worth noting these down so you can seek clarification. When you've completed this step, you should have one or more bylaws downloaded so you can pinpoint precisely what needs to get clarified or changed. And with this in hand, you can move to phase 1, step B, preparing your pitch. Your pitch is what you'll use to convince the powers that be that their bylaw needs changing. To start with, you need to decide exactly what you want, your desired outcome. That could be to actually change a specific clause in the parks bylaw, for example, or it could be simpler. The bylaw might say that model airplanes are prohibited without a permit, and you just want clarification or confirmation that this does not, in fact, apply to quadcopters. You need to decide the path you want to take and stay focused on that. I recommend you prepare 2 things. First, what is known as an elevator pitch, a short, concise story that you can use to introduce yourself and get your objective across in the time that it takes to ride down in an elevator. Less than a minute and definitely no more than 100 words. Here's an example, but use it just as a starting point to write your own. Hi, I'm Bill Shatner. I'm an advanced drone pilot and I'm very concerned about our city's restrictions on drones. The city's parks bylaw should not require drone pilots to need a permit to legally fly in public parks. Drones are safe, regulated by Transport Canada, and no more of a concern than throwing a frisbee. Any nuisance or privacy issues are addressed by provincial and federal laws. Municipal bylaws should not overlap with these. How can we change our parks bylaw to allow reasonable drone use, providing that drone pilots are following Transport Canada rules? So in this example, we've introduced ourselves and our concern, we've stated the desired outcome in general terms, tossed in a couple of key arguments, and asked for help. You should write this down, practice it, and use it whenever you're talking to any key stakeholder. It will keep your story straight and help you to be consistent without getting into the weeds. The second thing you need to prepare is your detailed package. This is essentially an expansion of your elevator pitch with all the details and justifications. You'll be sending this package to key stakeholders so they understand exactly what you want and why. It should include all the items required to meet your desired outcome. I think a good package would include a copy of the bylaw or bylaws that you want to change, a link to my video, Drone Basics for Municipal Leaders, the handout from that video, and your exact desired outcome. For example, which clause in which bylaw you want changed. The third and final stage in the planning phase is to identify the key stakeholders. These stakeholders will be people who can help you understand the process, and more importantly, the people who can decide to make the actual change. Municipal administrators or clerks can help you with forms or the steps you need to take to get on the agenda for a municipal council meeting. And remember, changing a bylaw will require a resolution to be passed at a council meeting. And I recommend you lobby each councillor in advance to ensure success. Now that you know who you need to talk to and you have your pitch ready, it's time to take action. Phase 2. First, talk to the municipal administrator responsible for the bylaw you're concerned about. Use your elevator pitch to introduce yourself and explain what you want to achieve. If you're simply seeking confirmation about what is or isn't a model airplane, for example, they may be able to resolve your issue instantly on the phone. If they do, wow, you might be done. Just be sure to get their confirmation in writing. On the other hand, if you're planning to make a presentation to council for a bylaw change, ask them exactly how to get on the agenda, the time frame to be heard, and any details you can about how presentations are made at council. And you may want to ask their advice on how to approach the topic. This may have happened before, or privacy may be a hot topic, which would be a tip to really have your ducks in a row for that part of your presentation. And don't be discouraged if they don't think your proposal will fly. Just remember the old adage, don't take a no from someone who isn't authorized to give a yes. Next, you should start meeting with each of the councillors. Discussing your concern with each municipal councillor in advance of the council meeting will help you to convince them, or at least identify the hard sells who will need more convincing. I would recommend face-to-face meetings if possible. Otherwise, a video or phone call would do. You should send them your detailed package in advance of the meeting. This will help them to be prepared, so you don't waste time talking about regulations, for example. At the meeting, again, use your elevator pitch to introduce yourself and your desired outcome. This will help you to keep the meeting focused. You may want to bring a small drone, like a Mini, to the meeting to demystify the whole notion of drones. A lot of people have never held one in their hand. Leave plenty of time in your meeting for discussion. Listen for agreement to your proposed change or not. Seek to understand points of disagreement or concern and work to resolve these. Ideally, you want to leave the meeting with a handshake agreement that they will support your request at council. And your third action is actually presenting at a council meeting. You will likely only have a few minutes, maybe only 5 minutes to state your case, so you better be well prepared. Practice it like a job interview. But if you've done your legwork in advance and met with all the councillors, this step should be a breeze. Just state your case in a manner similar to your elevator pitch. Introduce yourself, state the problem, make your key points about why the bylaw should be changed, and close with a precise statement of what changes you want made. There will undoubtedly be some discussion and probably some questions. Be prepared and attempt to close everything off right at the meeting. They may want to form a committee to further discuss it or come up with some other actions. This will drag things out. Or you could be pleasantly surprised and have a motion passed on the spot. One way or the other, you'll be into the follow-up phase. If there were actions coming out of the council meeting, take careful note of who was supposed to do what and by when. Without being a nag, you should contact folks to remind them of their actions. Offer to help them if that's appropriate. And obviously, if you were asked to provide something or do something, be sure to do that on time. There may be additional meetings to look forward to. A committee may have been formed, and participate in that if you're allowed to. There may have been clarifications required around RPAS regulations or privacy laws. Help them out if you can. But I think you get the idea. This is your cause. You need to walk it through all the way to completion. And the final step? Yeah, celebrate. If you're successful, you will be carried through the streets like a hero. And be sure to share your story with DPAC via the Facebook group. Your experience will help others to succeed in their towns and cities. Let's make this happen.